Welcome back, guys. Welcome to the New Cow Corner. Today, again, is my commitment to fulfill my promises to you. I got another big dog in the building, Mr. Marc from none other than the Gecko Room. Marc, why don't you do a little introduction real quick, man? Introduce if anybody ironically, however, happens to not know who you are. Tell us the man behind the scene. Tell us a little bit about yourself, who you are, where you're from, what you do, how you got into this.
I don't even know who I am, but I'm out there. I'm trying. I'm trying. But thank you. I appreciate that. I appreciate being here also. My name is Marc. I'm owner-operator of the Gecko Room with my son and my wife. We've been doing this now for 6 years. I'm trying to get my other 2 children in it. They're younger, but, in the future. Reptiles has been a factor in my life since I was young. Very young as far as I remember, but around 15, 16, I really started keeping a lot of reptiles. By the time I was 18, I had a whole room of different reptiles. Never breeding. I was never breeding anything. It was just fascinating to keep them. And fish also. I've always kept fish as well. I mean, I'm from the Bronx, New York. We in the building. 18 years old. Chinatown, $50. Like, the turtles, 2 for $10. Everything. Reptiles kept me out of a lot of trouble, which you can get into in the Bronx very fast, but it's always steered me clear of a lot of trouble. Still got in trouble, but reptiles helped me out a lot,
You're living if you did get in trouble at least once.
Right? One of the things that I used to do when I was young is run around the buildings and stuff and collect tanks. And then I tell my mom to drive me up to White Plains Reptile Show on Central Avenue. I know they still have it. I'm trying to get out there one day.
That Joker since I was born, dog.
Yeah.
That show has got to be as old as me, because as long as I remember going to White Plains. They used to have gun shows there too. Like, yo.
That was the spot. That was my first reptile shows, man. And I would go and I'd buy animals with whatever money I had. I'd collect tanks from the streets, bring them home, buy every pet land in the entire New York area.
Yeah, man, they've been gone for how long now? They've been gone since like these early 2000s.
Yeah.
People don't know about Petland when I tell them, yo, Petland discount, dog.
The discounts, that yellow sign.
Yup. You used to be able to walk in there and buy African rock pythons. They had tokays for like $10, $15, berms, $1.99. I mean, damn, it was a chain pet store, but they were kind of like the hood, like they were like a private pet shop, but a chain pet shop. Damn, I actually miss Petland, bro.
That was a good one. That was one of my favorites. For reptiles and for fish.
Oh yeah.
And each pet land, you go to this pet land and you get the Burmese python. You go to this pet land, oh shoot, they got tokays. And you go to this pet land and they have something different. So tokays and golden geckos were my first ever geckos.
That's funny. Jason on our other podcast, the Gecko Exchange, that was his first gecko. Was a golden gecko. It was Jay's first gecko too.
Yeah, they were.
Never had one.
They're real pretty, man. They're real
popular now? Are they in the hobby a lot now?
I don't see nobody really breeding them like that. And, they wholesale, they're probably less than $10 from what I've seen.
Where are they from?
I don't even...
I think Jay said Indonesia or somewhere in
Asia. The same area, like tokays and everything are from.
Yeah.
I was actually thinking about buying some just to start breeding them and see what's going on with them.
How old's your first gecko? One of the first geckos you ever had? How can you not,
Yeah.
It's who cares about the money? It's a memory, right? Like, that's why I got a tokay. My tokay, I'm not going to breed them or nothing like that, but when I was a kid, it was, I think, like the first lizard I ever got bit by. So I was like, I got to get one. Like, I got to get a tokay.
My first crazy reptile experience was with 2 tokays that they were like $15, $20 from what I remember. And I bought 2 like this big. Didn't know nothing about them. I just saw them and was like, wow, I need them. Petland. Got home and they got loose. And it took me like 8 hours, 10 hours to catch them.
Oh,
one, because they climbed the walls, and then 2, every time you go to grab them, they start barking at you. I'm like, I'm not grabbing.
Hell yeah. So when you've keeping them, since you said you've been keeping reptiles your whole life and everything like that, in 15 you really started collecting and getting into it. When did you realize geckos were it? When were you like, yo, this is what I'm doing. Geckos are the wave. I'm building a brand. This is it. Because you've done a great job at it, Marc. Like, whether you see it or you don't, you have done an incredible job at, and I'm not saying you're new, but it just coming onto the scene and saying, boom, I'm here. Gecko Room's in the house. You branded yourself. You've been doing the everything you do. You like, I'm here type stuff. What triggered that, and when did you realize that's what you wanted to do?
It's like geckos since the toques and the golden geckos. When I moved to Florida, it was like heaven for me. It was a tropical oasis, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic, like all in one. I wanted to inspire my son with the hobby, and awesome. I've had many hobbies, different hobbies and stuff, but I've done reptiles my entire life and fish. So I started trying to get something for my son, and my wife wasn't with it at first. So I started with a fish tank, and then I started with a turtle tank, and then I did a frog tank. And I watch a lot of the reptile videos, YouTube and things like that, and every time I see something, it's like, wow, I want that. I'm the type, I walk the Everglades by myself. I'll sit outside in the park and just look at the trees, I'm driving. I've always had that eye where I can spot something right away. So I was trying to teach my son, get him into it, and I bought leopard geckos. I still have them now. They're like 10 years old now. I bought them from Quincy. That was how I first met Gecko Nerd, going to the reptile shows out here, and then got him into that. And over time, it's like, hey, this whole room was a game room, and I saw that we were playing too much. I got a problem with an eye of mine, and I'm like, damn. I try to be the best I could be. Sometimes I'm a kid. Well, I'm a kid at heart. I don't care. I'm a kid. So I'm like, bro, I remember when my dad used to stop me from playing games and stuff like that. I'm going all out. I'm like, son, I have 2 sons. I'm like, this whole room is going to be a gaming room. And I started putting animals here also to make, the whole atmosphere. And I said, hey, let's get a new reptile. What do you want? And he showed me a crested gecko.
Oh, sure.
So I went and I found somebody on, it was either OfferUp or Craigslist, and they had crested gecko for sale, and I reached out, and it was pretty expensive. It was like $400, and I didn't really know about it at the time, but she said $400 with the tank set up and everything. I'm like, okay, let's go see it. When I got there, she had maybe 10 on wire racks and all set up and everything, and I was like, this is cool. I remember she had a lychee also, and she was graduating college and going to law school, and was like, I can't take them with me, so I'm trying to sell them all. And I bought the one, cut a long story short, got home, and my son and I were fascinated, and I'm like, hey, we should try to get the rest. She'll probably give them to me at a good price. You want them? And he's like, yeah, Dad. And my wife is like, oh my God. When I do a hobby, I'm all in.
Say I can relate.
Like, so I go back, I end up getting a few. She sold a few, and I ended up with like six or seven of them. I don't remember. One of them, she was like, oh, this one is from Pangea. It's very expensive. And that's when I started doing my searches and everything like that. I've always been I'll get ants tomorrow, and today I'm reading and watching so many things and so many different stuff. And if I know somebody, I'm asking questions, and I learn about those ants left and right. I school myself fast, and my son was excited. And once I started finding out about it, Altitude Exotics videos and Tiki's geckos, those were my first 2. Tiki's, my son, that's it. It was over with Tiki's. He's like, he's got a gift. I'm not gonna lie. I admire him a lot. I respect him a lot. Brian from Altitude Exotics as well. Yes, like those were the first 2 crested gecko people that I'm like, this is it. This is where we got to get geckos from. This is this, that, the other. And they started teaching you about the genetics and talking about it and the morphs and stuff like that. And I'm like, I'll be honest, I've never bred reptiles. But when I started seeing that, and I'm like, wow. Then I started looking at other stuff, and I'm like, damn, you know something? This would be cool to do a pet shop where you can breed the animals and sell them yourself, but the animals that you make, instead of a pet shop where you're getting animals from all over. And that was my inspiration. And I'm like, and we could even do a zoo, bro. We can make it where the breeding thing is behind the glass doors and this, that, the other. And my wife, she works for FIU, so she works for the research department. And she knows a lot of scientists and doctors there. You know, they go out into the ocean and research on sharks.
No shit.
She knows all of these people, veterinarians, everything. And she was like, babe, they have in the facility, they have glass doors, and you know, you get the suit on and you go in there. And I'm like, yeah, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Imagine a pet shop where you can go in, see all of these setups, purchase the animals, and they're bred right there.
Awesome.
You can literally come in like a zoo and lounge and just hang out, you know, watch the whole process. And, you know, they fell in love with it. They're like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, okay. You know, I'm always looking. I owned a auto mechanic shop for about 3 years. Okay. That was another hobby of mine. And it got lit up in flames. I rented a Nestle. I rented a Nestle cooler, and literally the day after I rented it, they hooked it up. It lit up in fire. The whole shop lit up in fire.
Glad you made it out all right. Shit.
But I lost everything. So I'm always looking. My whole life, it's like I never wanted to work for somebody. I always wanted to work for myself.
Amen to that. So
I said, while I'm working, whatever, let's build a little something, you know. Whether it takes 5, 10, 15, 20 years, this something will be left for you guys. If you want to sell it, you sell it. If you want to continue it, you continue it. But if we can start a business from now, maybe I can cement my legacy for your children in the future, you know? Generational wealth ideas type of thing. I've always felt very passionate about animals. So I said, you know, we got to do a business where I don't know if my kids are as passionate as me. I think that's something that'll probably grow on them more. And even if they don't, hey, sell the business to somebody and take the money and go pursue your passion. But at least something's there for them. So that was my idea.
That's awesome, man. I mean, people underestimate the value of introducing children to new things, right? Like just giving a kid a reptile, I would say 90% of the time the kid is going to be ecstatic and willing to learn, right? Like they're going to want to read everything they can. They're going to want to find out everything they can. You know, it's a brilliant way to teach kids something, you know, if they're assuming they're interested, you know. It's like you go to school and they try to teach you a bunch of stuff that you just don't care about. The hardest part about school, at least for me, was trying to learn about some stuff I didn't care about. I don't care about this stuff. Like, why the hell? Why am I like, I'm sitting here faking the funk, trying to please you, trying to learn something to make you happy when the whole time my mind's over there, right? But give me something I care about or I'm interested in. I'll race you to the finish line with everything there is to know. I guarantee I'll be in every book, every website, anything there was. I'll meet you at the end, you know?
Yeah.
It's just a different way to learn, man. And I find it to be brilliant and I find the animals do that, especially with kids, right? Like give a kid an animal and the opportunity. I say this all the time to people, but there can be no success without opportunity. You'll never have the next Steve Irwin if you don't show your boy a reptile, right? You're never going to have the next, you know, track star if you don't introduce your son to running. You're never going to have, you gotta, you know, the next great baseball player if you don't sign them up for T-ball. You know, we gotta give our children opportunities. And parents, we all know what it is, man. Your kids, they go through phases like sneakers. They like this one day, they don't the next. We have to accept the fact that that's children. That's life. They're searching for their passion, right? Like they're not supposed to like everything. But when they do, right, they'll be ahead of the game if they start learning now.
It's multifunctional. Reptiles, for me, in my mind, it's teaching way more than just having a reptile, you know. And those teachings of having this reptile and keeping responsibility, paying attention, patience, you know, virtues. You're gaining these virtues where even if you don't want to keep reptiles for the rest of your life, you can use those virtues in anything that you do in life, you know, and it builds that foundation for them, you know.
And you vend too, so you know, not that you have to be business oriented to keep reptiles, but it's another facet, it's another option. Your boys and your kids are going to shows with you learning business, right?
Yeah.
How to sell, how to manage, how to market, how to, you know, it's it's a beautiful thing from someone, from my point of view, to watch, a father have the opportunity to teach his children that. It's a beautiful thing, man.
It's not hard-headed, but I'm very determined in being successful in life. The hurdles of life, the ups and downs. I've been up, I've been down many times. I crash, I find my way back up, and that's something I want to teach my kids. And even with I'm not so much 110% business minded when it comes to the reptiles, which is something I've learned through these 6 years to become a little bit more business oriented. And I had to learn that because this grows and grows and grows, and it's like, okay, I forgot. It is a business. So let's button it up. Let's tighten it up. But hey, we're having fun, man. Yeah. At the end of the day, I'm not in a rush to be a millionaire. One. Two, if you tell me I can't do something, I guarantee you're going to have to move over because there's a seat for me on that table, and I'm going to sit there whether it takes me 2 years, 20 years. I'm coming to sit down at that table, and I don't care about eating my food cold. All right?
Yeah, man. That's awesome. Good.
I'll be there.
I wish there was more people like that in this world. We'd be a much more successful civilization, if we all had ambition like that, and determination and willingness, and that's a good thing to teach your kids. And everything you do, like you said, you are teaching your kids just by setting an example. I mean, we all fall down in life, right? Like it's nothing special, but how we get back up, how we stand again is everything that matters. It's a very important lesson to teach your children. Do you have your kids vend with you? They come and vend shows with you?
I've brought them once or twice.
Do they like that aspect? Do they like not getting rid of their animals?
My kids are fairly they're a little shy. My son, they're not as, they're a little shy, but it's just that I'm very critical on what I speak about, and I like to, if I'm not going to be the final word or answer on anything. So if I'm telling you something, my son is learning that also. He just wants to observe. He observes a lot. He'll speak to you with no problem. But a lot of the questions that are being asked at the reptile shows and stuff, my wife also, she's not, and they may know some answers, they just choose not to involve themselves yet. So they're pretty much quiet, but they enjoy it.
Smartest mouths in the room are usually the ones that are shut.
That's one of the things I live by, man. Just speak less, listen more.
I mean, it's something I'm a couple of years younger than you, but we're the same age, man. That's
same
something
age.
It's something. I mean, it's not even questioned to me, man. It's usually the jackass with the big mouth. The one that's quiet in the cut that's the one we need to be listening to.
And I'm a factual person, so I need some facts. Otherwise, I'm going to figure it out myself. Like, if you're not going to provide me the facts, I like the idea, but I got to kind of see that for myself. Not that you're wrong, bro, but I want to experience it for myself. I'm willing to, I can decipher if I'm going to waste my personal time on if that's true or not. If I feel, okay, I don't want to waste my time and I believe you, that's fine. But if I'm willing to waste my time, I want to learn something. I'm gonna fact check you, man.
For sure.
And let's see what's going on with that.
Yo, so Mark, if I asked you who is the Gecko Room, what would you tell me? Who is the Gecko Room? What is the Gecko Room?
I would tell you the Gecko Room is a family-oriented, real-life, arms open to the world, just having fun place to be. Be welcome, whether you're the know-it-all or you just beginning. This is a place where we can talk about things, chat about things. Don't ever take my words for it's the final answer. I just ask a lot of questions and say a lot of things that I've learned. So
that's one of the things I love about you. Together is your willingness and ability to not necessarily accept that you're wrong, but to accept the possibility that there's other options, right? Love that about you. Even on your podcast, it's always, it's possible, it's maybe, I'm seeing this, but, we could see this could be this, you never really cross anything out, right? Like, you leave the options open, and I love that, man. That's just like, it's a talent, it's a gift to be able to not just see something in black and white, but the whole spectrum. You can see something, the whole spectrum. It's, it's just very unique. You have a unique style with everything you do. You produce some incredible animals, right? Like incredible shit. And you don't really like jam information down people's throats like I did. You make it very achievable, I guess you can say. You make us out here, the little guy, feel that we could do what you're doing, and even though we can't really just snap our fingers and do it, you make us feel with a little bit of work, a little bit of research, some, experimenting, some this, some that, we could get somewhere, right? Like it's, you have a very, I don't even know how to articulate it, but it's unique. It's unique, especially in today's hobby where everybody is a master, right? Like it's refreshing, if you will.
Say that again?
No, go ahead. I was going to ask something about something else. When did you realize you wanted to actually do this brand though? Were you like, this is it, the Gecko Room, the name? Where did you get the name from? Where did the Gecko Room name?
So the Gecko Room name came from this being the game room.
Okay.
And then honestly, I saw myself, I messed up. I got all my kids way too involved in gaming.
It wasn't gonna happen anyway, brother.
It's gonna, but I said I kind of messed up, and I don't want, I gave the opportunity at the end of the day. Like we did the Twitch thing, everybody got computer setups, and I went all out for everybody, and I said I have to change this. It's my fault. I have to help change it, and I said the animals are hopefully a way out of the gaming. And it's a way to learn. Like I said, you learn other things that you can use in life. Where gaming, at the end of the day, man, you had your run on Twitch or whatever. You didn't become a millionaire. Leave it alone, because games are fun, but it's a waste of time. You in 10 years of gaming for 10 years, you can't look back and say, oh, look what I did. I got a gold trophy on PlayStation 5. Like, okay, great. But you can be very successful and knowledgeable with 10 years of focusing and doing things here. So I took out all the gaming stuff. I turned it into the Gecko Room. And basically it was the gaming room. And my wife was like, oh, so this is going to be the Gecko Room? And my son was like, oh, that's a great name. And I'm like, yeah.
I love it.
I'm like, yeah, you're right. This is the Gecko Room now.
I love it.
And the G is just a hidden agenda. That's my mother's name. They used to call her Gigi. Her name is Griselle, and she passed away during COVID. So when I had that done, I did it because I said, Mom, Grandma is looking over us at all times. Yeah. She's there with us. She was out of my father and my mother. My mother was the business-oriented person. My father was, I'm going to work and climb up the ladder and get to a high position. But my mother was always, I'm opening up this business. Let's do this. Let's hustle this. Let's move this over here. That's who taught me all of that.
That's where you get it from.
Yeah. That's where I get it from.
You still have your father? Is your father still around?
He's still around. He's still around.
How's he feel about it?
My father's a very military, mindset. Like, I work for Ralph Lauren. My father's like, the time you're spending focusing on all of these reptiles, you should be climbing up the ladder in Ralph Lauren. And I'm like, listen, man, at the end of the day, I started as a part-time temporary associate, and I work for corporate right now.
That's what's up. You get discount
all day.
That's all that matters.
All day,
The purple label shit. Listen, I wear this sweatshirt for the camera. Don't get it twisted, boy. I can think geckos are the only thing I collect. Don't get it fucked up.
Men of many hobbies.
Yeah, that's what's up, man. That's awesome, man. That's great.
But he supports me. He asks me how everything is, and he helps me out and stuff. But he's not very business oriented, so he could only help me but so far.
Supportive, you know what I'm saying? In your business, as long as he supports your business. That's a father.
He supports me from afar. Hey, everything's good? You sell any geckos? Great. Have fun, son.
Selling geckos. I was interviewed someone the other day, and I kind of like stumbled across a question that I didn't intend to ask. Well, really an idea came across my mind, but being that you do Palm Street and you vend shows, how likely do you think it is that Palm Street and online sites like that are going to do away with the reptile shows we know?
Me personal, I don't think they will do away with shows, but I think they will help set a different tone at shows. I think that Palm Street, especially how you use Palm Street, can open up a lot of people's eyes.
Another thing you do great, man. You do one of the, about all the people I watch, you have one of the most entertaining, best Palm Streets I watch.
Thank you, man. Thank you. That's a key factor for me. Like when I speak to a couple of people, I tell them, Palm Street for me, my vision is I'm not coming in here to sell animals. That's gonna happen. That's a given. Get this from the Ralph Lauren, right? I used to be an assistant manager of 2 of the top tier stores in Florida. 50,000 units in the back of house, 150,000 units on the sales floor. I ran teams of 200 plus.
Jeez.
My thing is, don't tell me that my priority, and I've had this conversation with higher ups and stuff, don't tell me that my priority is sales. That's a given. We're a retail store. People are coming in here to purchase. Therefore, we're going to make sales. They're not coming in here to sit down and watch a movie. All right. But my people, you need to focus on making a connection. All right. When you make that connection with these people, you're building a relationship that's going to last forever and stand the test of time. If you're just focused on, you want to buy this? You want to buy this? You want to buy this? It's like, no, I don't want to buy it, man. I just want to ask a question because I'm thinking, but you just probably deterred people. But when you make that connection and it's everything else, and they have to remind you like, hey, are you going to sell a gecko? Or I'm looking for they feel comfortable now. They want to buy it with you. And Palm Street for me is, bro, it's a Netflix channel. You need to come in here. I've seen it. I don't care if Cold Blooded Gems is on at 6 p.m. when I'm on at 6 p.m. There could be 20 of us on at 6 p.m. It's just like you sitting in your living room changing the channel on the TV. Whatever show catches your attention is the show that they're going to tune into.
Facts.
Facts. The money will come after that. But people are coming there to be entertained, spend time. It becomes fun. Like
it's very fun. At least yours is. Yours is very fun. You're great. You're also great at generating conversation. You're good. You're a good conversation starter, right? And I think that has to do with you not being like a leading, not a leading a throw, but like you're not a tyrant with information. You know what I'm saying? You're always up for ideas and options as opposed to telling people stuff. There's not much to talk about when you just tell people things, right? You propose ideas, notions, and generates conversation. And you do it naturally. So it flows into the Palm Street very well, and you're talking about genes and the possibilities of traits and pairings and this and that. And damn, now there's a gecko that kind of fits what we were talking about. Hell, well, you're selling that? Okay, let me bid on this, It's very cool how you do it. It's not like someone on there talking about, I got this gecko and I would sell him the show for 700, but today I'm giving you 3. I shouldn't, but I'm gonna. You start sounding like a QVC channel, like you're trying to push this shit out, like you just realize something's wrong with him. You don't want him no more. How are you selling for 700 the other day? Now you're giving me for 200. Now you're giving me for 200, but 2 days ago he was 700. Would he lose a leg? What's happening here?
It's a fine line with that, and I just try to. One of my inspirations was like when I started doing the IG lives, where I've been through certain things. I want to help the new person feel free, not feel. There's a lot of pressure in the hobby, and the pressure comes from fitting in and having friends. Like it's a hobby. I used to go to car shows. I used to do paintball, like with teams. I do fencing. I practice karate. Like when you're in a hobby, you want to speak to like-minded people about the same interest. And when you fear speaking with like-minded people with the same interest, I don't want to be in that hobby no more.
Kind of sucks, I know.
It kind of sucks. So
like a Facebook group, man. I tell people all the time, some of these conversations, I'm like, you're deterring more people from this hobby with this shenanigans, this arguing stuff, than you are bringing them. Like our commonality is this love for these animals. Like all the other shit we do in life, that's all the other shit we do in life. We don't got to talk about it here. We're here for the geckos, right? The geckos are what makes us unique. We should all get along. We should all want to share. We should all be friends. because of these animals, right? We should want to bring more people in so we have more eyes on the animals, more observations, more people working with them. It's upsetting, it's sad when you see stuff like that, like you said, people start spinning off and, deterring people from coming into the hobby. And you're right that a lot of that stuff does do that. But you on the other hand do a great job of leaving the door open, if you will, and that's what you're doing with the Palm Street thing. You're right. It works. If that's it's
how I view the Palm Street. And then the shows is another aspect of it where, bro, I was always on the other side of the table going to shows. Like I said, when I started this, I had no idea of the ins and outs of the reptile business and hobby when it comes to sales. I started doing shows. I didn't even realize, okay, we can start vending across the United States and everything like that. I was like, I'm going to just vend my local reptile show because it's my local show and I want to be in the community. And I started by myself, just looking at videos. You can, first and foremost, even without speaking to a lot of people, you can find so much information, man. And if you make mistakes, you fix it as you go. But I looked up on YouTube reptile show after reptile show. I'm pressing pause on people's tables. I'm looking at what's on tables. I'm looking at signage. I'm walking reptile shows. I'm not asking questions, but I'm there looking at animals. Like, I'm taking pictures in my brain. I'm listening to conversations. I'm not the most talkative because I know through life I ask a lot of questions. I may be visually intimidating to people. This dude comes with tattoos all over. I don't have the smiley face all the time. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know if that is judgmental, but I know that my mom used to always tell me, smile. You always have this mean face. And it's just me. Like, my father's military, so I grew up strict. You know what I'm saying? In karate, they used to pound me, bro, and I couldn't cry because if I cried, they'd pound me more. So that's how I grew up. So going to these shows, I would just listen, watch. I'm here. Okay, you ask a question. That's an interesting question. Let me hear the answer. Okay, I see this, that, the other. And I said, okay, this is how I'm going to start doing the shows. And I applied. I got my license. I did everything on my own. And sorry about that. And I started doing the shows on my own. And it was fun, man. It was so cool to be able to talk with people and that they come to your table and admire what's on your table and start asking questions and stuff.
That's awesome.
Just teaching the kids, letting them hold an animal, and you can do this too, and things like that. And I don't think that Palm Street offers that interaction. I think that there's always going to be room for that, but I think that it will help elevate the standard in the shows. I'm a strong advocate for shows.
That's what I came up with in my head too. I'm like, Palm Street and the easeability of just getting an animal is going to force the reptile shows to make changes. They're going to have to up their game and become something different than just a place to buy animals. Because you can sit on your couch and buy anything you want on a computer and have the shit arguably sent to your door. So reptile shows, to stay relevant, are going to have to do a little bit more. You're going to have to offer more information. You're going to have to, provide things that you cannot get on a website, like that personal interaction, talking hands-on, holding animals. You're going to, it's, I agree with you. We're going to have to change. They're going to have to level up.
I think it's very important. I think, as time goes by, you have to evolve and you have to be better without losing the respect. One thing is there's a lot of people that paved this path. There's a lot of people that have been here, blood, sweat, and tears. A lot of these people that are blood, sweat, and tears and paved this path, they may not have the insight or the education to cope with times now as far as social media and internet and computer work and stuff like that, but they have the knowledge and the wisdom for the animals. So elevating these shows with respect to these pioneers, still helping them elevate their stuff, I think overall will elevate the hobby to a different standard, because what happens is when the focus is all about sales, you're not willing to invest. And like for my company right now, Ralph Lauren, they took it back a notch. Instead of being in every market, they went more for the exclusivity. And I think that that's what the reptile shows needs to do. They need to elevate their stuff and be more exclusive instead of worrying about, well, we're going to do 50 shows this month. No, do one every 6 months and see the turnout of that. You know what I'm saying?
For sure.
You need to not so to speak starve the people, but show the people that, you know what, we're going to do this one show. It's going to be super elevated. We're going to have all types of animals, all types of fun, and then wait for the next one.
Sure.
My idea of it. Yeah. You know,
some people... when you started vending, it's almost like the reptile hobby is a community in itself, and then you got breeders, which is like another community within that community. And then you got vendors, which is another community in that community. How were people accepting of you when you came in? Were people friendly? Were they like, teaching you the ropes when it comes to vending? How did people treat you? How easy of a transition was it for you, I guess? And how helpful were other breeders at the shows?
For the most part, man, I'd say for the most part it was amazing, But I'm a very aware person. Not gonna get taken advantage of or anything like that. I can seen situations where you have to be careful. There's bad apples in every aspect of life.
Pictures of your, not to interrupt you, I apologize. Do you have pictures of your table and setup on your Instagram? There is, right? Yeah.
I do, yeah.
I apologize. I didn't mean to interrupt you. I just want to pull that up and some people your table and what.
Yeah, recently I had.
Jazzy with the technology. What do you know about that, Mark? Jazzy sharing pages and shit. So yeah, so how were they? How did they treat you? I mean, did anybody try to take advantage of you? Were they?
Not that they took advantage of me, but you may get some people that they say and do certain things that just, I get it. Like everybody's trying to make money and they see you new there. And if you fall for certain things, like I've had people tell me, hey, why are you wasting your time breeding these animals? Just sell them all to me. I'll buy them all off you and things like that. And it's like...
How slick do they think they are?
You don't need to waste your time coming to the shows. Just sell the animals to me and you could breed them at home and I'll sell them at the shows. And I'm like, I don't know who you think you're talking to, but it's not about me selling the animals at the show. I'm trying to connect with people and share the passion with people and stuff, Like...
Oh, yeah. That's weirdo. That's some weirdo shit, right? What the hell would someone...
And then you start finding out the differences in, people ask you, are you wholesaling? And you're not wholesaling. And did you breed this? And you get all different types of things. But for the most part, I've had a lot of friends. I've met a lot of people,
That's official, Mark. That's official, bro. I love the grass, the AstroTurf top. I never seen that before. That's the first... and I use that stuff in my cages, like some of my display cages. That's what I use. I cut them into squares and use them as the bottom. The shit comes off them real easy. You just wash them and stuff. But that's a dope idea. You got the little deck plank setup things to put your things. I love this, man. I love your setup, bro. Is that a screen? Is that a screen you got there showing you? Wow, you ain't playing, brother. That's
what I'm talking. Like I want other breeders, other reptile places to elevate. It needs to be a store, man. And it's just investing in your business.
No, not that I doubted you, but that's official.
Thank you. It's elevating the hobby as a whole. You know what I'm saying? Some of the inspiration for me is Morph Galaxy. I don't know if you've ever seen Zoomade setup. It's nothing to buy. Like I'm just going over there and to walk through, and it's like going to the Zoomade store. There's a lot of different tables,
right? Like you got to create an experience for your customer. Not for nothing, but we were both keepers right before we were breeders, and we went to shows and stuff. And there's a certain look, I guess, that would make us want to go to a table. Like, granted, we check out all the tables. The older we got, the smarter we got, and we realized there's probably some cool shit at the less flashy table, but you'd be lying if you didn't say that something didn't attract us to individual tables, right?
I remember there was a person that used to sell T-shirts, bro. And they came through in a show, and I was like, what the hell is going on? They had a platform with a huge stage and all types of, and I'm like, it's cool. And whether you buying a T-shirt or not, you were still going over there to see what's going on. You know, that's my wife.
I thought it was a video showing the table and whatnot. We'll go back to some of these pictures. I just wanted to show the viewers and everybody some more of your tables, man. So I think that's awesome. Did you just progress into that too, or did you how did you start off? When you started out the show, like for someone, if you had advice for someone that was going to a show, did you have tablecloths? Did you have what did your first setup look like when you just rolled up to your very first show?
My first setup was 2 lights, stand-up lights, a tablecloth. Very humble, man. Very I was just trying to get in there and buy as much stuff as possible to make it look like everybody else's table. Deli cut. I didn't even have a lot on the table. Very, very clean. That's it.
Dude, but you did it though, right? So my whole point is that I don't want people to think yes, you have a nice, beautiful table. God knows I'm not saying a bad thing about it, but people don't need to have that to vend, right?
No, not at all.
Grow into that. You could,
not at all.
Sell an animal, invest in a banner.
Yes.
Sell another animal, invest into a light.
I'm sorry to cut you off.
No,
at the end of the day, everything here was baby steps. Everything here was baby steps. It didn't start off the way it looks now, and it's not going to end with the way it looks now. It's patience and time and constantly evolving. But you don't have to start off with the Guardians of the Geckos has a crazy Tiki's Geckos got the lights. You don't need to start off like that. But I always say it's your business, and you have to reinvest into your business. So start off where you can and slowly progress, man. And one day, if you're content, you're content. And if not, I've seen some crazy setups, man.
For sure, right? And it's awesome, too. And I think that the only reason we have that is because people level up, right? So it inspires people, and it's a healthy competition, I guess you will. It's cool.
Yeah,
it's good to have.
For sure. But by all means, some of these tables are just simple. And hey, the person that's running that table is the person you need to be speaking to. That's
sure. So for everyone out there that doesn't know, why don't you tell us about some of these animals, Mark? You don't work with just new cow stuff, huh? You got quite a few species.
Well, yeah, I'm the Gecko Room, so I mainly focus in different geckos, and I'm not master of any. I'm just working with them, learning with them. One of the things that inspired me was learning about geckos that were vulnerable or not extinct but going to be extinct eventually, and helping the hobby in captive breeding projects or programs in order to stop them from taking them from the wild. That was why I started working with neon day geckos and electric blues. They've always been an inspiration for me. And in my mind, what I have a friend that works in Georgia University, and then my wife's friends in FIU, and it was always inspiring. I would love to do research and get involved in the research aspect, and even work. The money is not as good, but even working at a zoo and running a certain, Frank Payne was my inspiration behind the electric blues, and I'm learning all of that stuff, and it's that was one of my first tables.
You get the idea for the grass.
I got the idea from my job, bro.
No shit.
I'm in charge of the men's mannequins and the windows, so we changed the flooring in the windows and stuff, and this is just scraps that we were going to throw out. And my boss was like, hey, you want this? And I'm like, sure. And I brought it home, and I'm like, you think we could use this on the table? I want it to feel very home, very naturalistic type of feeling.
Yeah.
And it evolved to, at first I was using scrap pieces, and so many people were asking me, this is a great idea. And then finally I said, let me just get the whole roll.
Great idea. I've never seen it before. And like I said, I use it, but I never thought about putting it on a table instead of a tablecloth, man. I love it. It's brilliant.
Yeah, and then the wood planks came from, I wanted to make it nice and level, because with the grass, sometimes things, twist and turn. So I said, I got to find something wood. And I went to IKEA to the clearance department, and I ran into a bunch of those. They were $1 each. They're to make a cabinet, but they were missing all the pieces. So it was just the planks. And I said, this is perfect.
Oh, yeah. You got to be creative, man. And it's fucking cool.
Yeah, you got to be creative with it. You have to be creative and have fun. That's what I'm saying. It doesn't have to be, I spent $1 billion on my setup. You just got to be creative.
Absolutely.
And enjoy it.
I mean, I suppose a nice setup would draw eyes, but good animals, right? Good animals and good ethics ultimately sell your animals. You know, selling healthy animals. I mean, you have some seemingly incredibly healthy animals, right? Like every animal I'm looking at is in incredible shape, right? These are healthy, beautiful, well-structured animals. What as far as say like crested geckos, right? What genetics are you most fascinated by? What fascinates you the most genetically with the crested geckos?
Genetically, what
Dalmatians
Dalmatians
or genes or morphs or whatever.
Dalmatians and black stuff, man. Like, well, at this point, a lot of stuff fascinates me, but I have a little bit of everything with the major focus in Dalmatians and black stuff. Lily whites is something that I hold close to. There goes my kids and myself at one of my first reptile shows, but it's the contrast, the black. It's just the black stuff, like and Dalmatians. I love Dalmatians.
I think it's funny, right? Like I can't speak for everyone, but everyone I have spoken to, for the majority, when we first got into crested geckos, Dalmatians were the coolest shit, right? Like a Dalmatian was the first thing most people fall in love with. Kids, everybody loves a Dalmatian. Then the more people go on and the more they get exposed to the hobby, I guess, it's like Dalmatians become a sin almost. It's it's pretty strange, but ironically, they are what made us fall in love with these animals.
Yeah, that's what one of the quests of mine, asking a lot of questions, because Dalmatians tend to show themselves in a lot of different ways, but it's like, I don't think it's that easy as just pair a Dalmatian to a Dalmatian, you're going to get Dalmatians.
Well, it's not. I've paired two Dalmatians and got animals with no fucking spots. Fact.
Exactly. So, and I've paired very low
spots, but, like nothing.
Dalmatians and have gotten a lot of spots.
To pop and put them together and get straight red animals. It's no spots whatsoever.
That's what I work with them for. I want to just gain as much knowledge with them spots
and pair them to another animal that has 20, 30 spots. Every baby born is born with 150, 200 spots. And I still don't know why or what, but it's these individual animals that I have that are doing it. So everybody's out there talking that whole, the more spots.
Is it me that
It doesn't work like that. It doesn't work. Fucking lost. Yo, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
My internet went out, man. It's like we got a crazy windstorm going on over here. I must have lost signal. It's still recording though, right? It started over, man. I'm gonna have to piece them together. I can edit it together. It did it when I was recording with David too from Tiki's. Did the same shit to me, man. Damn, I hate when that shit happens.
Hey, you're back.
Fuck, my bad, bro. It's just like a windstorm outside.
No, we're good. We're good.
Yo, that time I lost power. Yo, I couldn't get on the computer for like 5-6 days, bro. It's like in every house, and not for nothing, but I'm not far from like the main city and downtown. One of them lines goes out, man, they'll be knock out like a surrounding 5-mile area.
Yeah.
So where did you hear me when I was talking about these Dalmatians? Yeah, why is it covering you up now? When I was talking about when I was breeding these Dalmatians, bro, it's like it's not as clear cut as just putting Dalmatian with a super Dalmatian and getting super Dalmatians. It's not always the case,
Yeah, I definitely don't think so. And from what I see, it's just not as easy as that, so to speak. You can be lucky and maybe hit, but it's just not as easy as it seems. Even like the questions that I don't see anybody answering is, how do we get these ink spots? How do we get these huge ink spots?
Just gotta ask you.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, I see certain things, bigger ink spots have little ink spots like overlapping each other. That you can see it in the ink spots and things like that. How is hypo affecting it? It's a lot of different things that nobody really talks about or answers, and just contributes Dalmatians to Dalmatians. And even in LM Reptiles, if you read about the Dalmatians and stuff, they're saying that there's a recessive Dalmatian gene. And I have yet to hear anybody working with it and things like that, So that's, if I'm going to spend like I said, the rest of my life, I'm going to be doing this. Whether I make it or not, this is what I'm going to be doing. So I say 10, 15 years of working with Dalmatians, one day I'm going to have the answer for you guys.
That's
and
awesome.
Then I could be like Paul from Rack House, 15, 20, 25 years in, like Tiki, all these years in, like all of Tremper, Frank Fat, all of these people in 15, 20 years, Marc will be able to tell you something about Dalmatians,
So what do you know about these red spots, man? I'm super curious about red spot Dalmatians. See, at one juncture, I was watching some videos and listening to some stuff, and I remember Brian, and I actually have him coming on in a show coming up. But
nice.
I remember him saying something about the red spots being associated with hypo. What have you experienced in that? Do you know anything about this?
Well, it's funny that he said that. I have not heard him specifically say that, but that's great to hear. I've spoken with a lot of people about red spots. My own personal opinion on it is it definitely has to do with hypo, but I feel hypo has to do with the amount of red in the red spots. There's a difference in the red color of red spots. It ranges all the way from like a brownish, reddish spot, orange, to a bright red spot.
Sure.
So I think that hypo definitely has something to do with that. I also am testing it out to see, hey, is just something that is a separate thing from black spots altogether.
See, this is what I think, Marc. But keep going. I'll explain.
So I'm doing little projects here and there, but I have geckos that have red spot lineage that I've paired with black spot geckos, and I've seen the black spots turn red. And they call those bullseye spots or whatever the case may be. But I've seen the black spot turn red. And then I have red spot geckos that I've paired with red spot geckos, and I get red spots.
I think, right, if you got an animal, right, that has red and black spots, it can't simply be the hypo gene that's turning the black spots red, because the same animal got red spots and black spots. So if it was the hypo gene turning the black spots red, then in theory, wouldn't they all be red? How does it got two different color spots?
Exactly. So I was lucky to acquire a gecko that has, I'd say, 99% red spots.
I'm trying to pull them up now.
Yeah.
That was the last one my bad.
Yeah, bloodline. I was lucky to acquire that from Brian himself. Really? And I spoke with him about it. I know he's been working on red spots, like that's one of his passions. I just recently got another one that was
this animal.
That animal right there.
This is insane.
Yeah, I love that one.
He doesn't have many black spots though, huh?
He has like 2 black spots.
This is something different, I think, than the one. I don't know. This is a pure form of the red spot. So keep going. I hate to keep interrupting you, and I apologize. No, it's just I get questions in between, and I'm like, gotta ask.
That's the good thing. So there's a lot of, and maybe I'm crazy. I don't know, but when I'm looking at this animal, I'm like, it's majority red. You practically see no pattern in the base, and then when you look at the spots, I'm seeing spots overlapping spots to create those bigger spots, So what's going on there? I've assigned that homework to myself until somebody else can help answer it. So in this program, I'm pairing this with a plain phantom with no spots. I'm pairing it to another gecko that maybe has 1 or 2 red spots, but no black spots. I'm pairing it to a phantom lily white, just to see what happens with all of these different pairings and trace the lineage and see what's going on and hopefully get some answers. It's not something that I think I'm going to be able to answer next year, but it's something that I'm working on contributing. In my eyes, that's my contribution to the hobby. Awesome. I'm setting a goal for myself, and that's what I want to work on. Same thing with the black geckos. That's another passion of mine. And black everything. I like everything black with white, black with orange. Just black though.
Speaking of black, you just got a little something special, huh? Tell us about that thing.
Yeah, that's funny.
Pictures. Now let me share a screen. There we go.
Yeah, I just got it. That's
internet went out and messed me all up.
It's my
I can't get out of this page right here, man.
It doesn't want to go.
No, I can't X out and I can't even scroll it. It's showing a little You see that? The X, the red circle with the X, the line across it?
Nah.
What the fuck? Yeah, so let's tell us about that Xanthic you're working on there, man, because that's
So I have
hell of an animal.
I have Xanthics. I have one visual Xanthic, and I have quite a few hets. But I've always wanted a black Xanthic, and that's actually how I picked up the red spot. I went to buy a black Xanthic from Brian. I was eyeing one. And I ended up buying the red spot because once I saw it, I said, oh, shoot, change of plans. I'm good. I picked up a visual Xanthic, but it's a hypo. It doesn't even fire up dark at all. It's gray. You can see the yellow popping through. And I tend to want to try to breed things that other people are not. I still love the stuff that other people are breeding, but I'm like, bro, if we all breed the same stuff, it's like, when are we going to be finding all this new stuff? You have to think outside the box and trend set something, you know?
I agree.
So I was chasing after light gray, purple, hypo Xanthics. I'll do regular charcoal and regular phantom stuff for the blacks. And it's always been in the back of my mind to buy an Xanthic, a black one, because it's just for my collection and to work with in the future. But I said, you know, some geckos, what I've learned from starting till now is sometimes you have to be patient and look for your right animal that you really appreciate than just grabbing an animal because, oh, shoot, this is a frap or this is a cappuccino and it's Xanthic. I need it. It's not about buying an Xanthic. It's about buying the animal that touched my heart, you know? And when I saw that Xanthic, it was without question, like, that's what I dreamt of as a black and white gecko, you know? And I'm also a type of person, when I do my shopping and I'm buying animals and stuff, I like to show love where love is deserved to be shown. So I look at breeders and I look at pages and stuff, and I like what you do. I want to support you some way. But even if it's a t-shirt that I buy, I want to support you some way. You know what I'm saying?
Mark, it really is, man.
If I haven't bought from you yet, just know I have a long list of people that I want to support. I'm making my ways through, you know?
Amen, man. What's this thing here? This is not an Xanthic?
No, that's a phantom cappuccino.
Yo, I gotta get one of these from you, bro.
So,
oh, wow.
Very nice too. So that you get all types of different blacks, you know.
Easily? How hard is it for you to produce those? You just produce. I mean, is there any trick to this, or you just got the right pair, man, and you're making it?
First I invested a lot of money in the father, so that comes from Treehouse Lines, Janine.
There you go.
She's got, for me, I love her stuff.
That's dream animals right there, man. I might give you a pinky and a ring finger for that joker, boy. Damn, he's dope. Did you keep this guy or did you sell him? You produced him, right?
I still have him. I produced triplets, bro. All three of them look alike. I got lucky. The two clutches. The first clutch was two of these, and the second clutch was another one and normal. And that was their first year breeding. And then now I have a bunch of eggs. I paired them again. But I got lucky, I guess, getting the three triplets. Like, I have photos of the three, but also I invested some money into that, man. I did. I wanted to get something from Janine that I texted her, and I'm like, Janine, I need something blacker than night itself. And she's like, I said, let me know. What, you know, I don't ask questions. I don't really bargain too much. When I want to buy something, I buy it. Like, just let me know how much.
Facts. I respect you. I hear that. I respect people's prices too much. I'm not going to ever haggle you. If you're selling something and I like it and I got the money to buy it, I'm not asking you for a deal, man. I will pay. I will either buy it because it's worth what you're saying it is, I want it, or it's just not even an option, right? Like, and I'm not saying people shouldn't haggle and offer for deals. God bless, do your thing. It's just not something I can do, you know?
You don't have the time. If I want it, I want it, and I need to have it. So let me just get it. Thank you. I got a lot of black stuff from a lot of different people that I've incorporated here. You know, from Janine, from Brian Altitude, and from Canvas Geckos, from Kawabunga Cresty. I got black stuff from a lot of people. That's one of the main.
What have you learned about that? Is it inherited? Is it just like a fixed gene? How Is this a cap too?
That one is a red cap.
That's another
that one's a
bro. Did you produce
White
this
Tanks.
one too?
That's another Treehouse line. That one I got from White Tanks Exotics though. But that comes from a Treehouse line red cap.
Damn, man.
Yeah, I got plans with that one.
I mean, you make some like I don't know if it's just me or it's you guys, the breeders, but I've learned to be able to tell, not so much this one, but I could tell who bred the animal by looking at the animal. Does that make any sense? Like I could look at geckos and be like, that's a Gecko Room gecko, that's a this gecko, that's a Miami Art gecko, that's, a Gabby gecko. Like I can tell Brian who gecko, I could tell whose geckos they are. Sometimes it's the picture, sometimes it's, the picture and the animal or a combination of. I mean, that's a beauty though.
That one is so red, so red. It's amazing.
Do you find those red ones get dark too? Because one of my dream animals is like a red tiger, right? Like I want to make a red.
You can't notice it.
Impossible. Like you can't do it. The reds block the blacks, and I'm like, I don't know about that.
The thing about it is the tiger stripes are just darker red than the base color. I have some that have dark.
So they're both red then.
Yeah, I have some that have like the dark gray tiger, but they're faint dark gray. But
there's the triplets he was talking about, guys.
Yeah, that's the triplets.
Do you keep all three of them?
I have all three.
Are they all the same sex?
I haven't sexed them. I haven't had the. Oh,
that's like 7 weeks ago, bro. Yeah. Oh shit.
Yeah.
It's selling it? I mean, are you going to? Are they available?
Instead of holding a lot of stuff back for projects and things like that, and I've learned that not to hold everything back from the same group, same pairing. That's one of the issues I've learned to try to overcome. The thing with the blacks is, I wanted to be able to speak to it and know the differences. I know from my studies and from my reading and research and things like that. I know there's two different types of melanins from what I've heard. You have the black and then you have the brown melanin. You have people that tell you pair black to yellow, you're going to get blacker animals. You have people that tell you pair black to red. I have done both. You get black from both. But when you have yellow involved, you're leaning more towards olive type of. And what I've noticed is with red, I'm seeing the gray. And that's what I'm working towards. It's just two different types of blacks, so to speak.
Yeah, well, it makes sense. I mean, technically, what does an Exanthic do? Exanthic blocks certain colors, right? Is Exanthic block yellow or blocks? What is Exanthic doing?
Exanthic, supposedly, from what I understand, blocks all color. Now, except white. Really? It allows white to show. However, I have an Exanthic, and maybe it's because it's not such a dark Exanthic or whatever the case may be. I have yellow coming through the throat. I have yellow coming through the top of the head, and it's an Exanthic.
Interesting. Huh.
That's like the stuff that we were talking about. Exanthic is defined. There's a definition behind it. Obviously, there's some pioneers here who have worked with Exanthics from the very beginning and have brought it to where it is today. But I think that there's still room to learn new things that may have not been learned in the time that they've been working with it yet,
Sure. I think common ideas sometimes keep an animal going a certain way. People have Exanthics and that one person talked to this person and they agree on something and they continue to try to do the same thing so they get similar results. And ultimately these programs become very similar even though they're in two different collections because they're coming from the same idea, if any of that makes sense.
Yeah.
So if you step outside of the box with the gene and go south instead of north with it, you might find something completely different.
When you find something completely different, take it easy, gain your knowledge, gain your proof, and present that stuff.
Like the cap complex, right? Like when caps came out, so many people had them. Then I feel like that's what really gave way to people discovering the sable, the highway, all these little minute differences within one gene were discovered because people were really, really looking, and they wind up turning them into a few different cool things. Or if they are different or the same, I know nothing about them. I'm not a geneticist by any means, but I do hear some smart people say that they're, very similar, being that they're allelic, the cap, the highway, the sable. I can only imagine that they're the same type of gene, right? Or they wouldn't really be interacting with each other the way they do. If you're getting a super form from breeding a highway to a sable, It's the same gene. It's simple. It's just very simple.
I mean, 2 + 2 is 4, man. But at the end of the day, just work with it and show some proof behind. Like, if you're gonna say you got something, talk about it. You see the tiger stripe?
This thing's beautiful, bro. Is that same one I was looking at before? Shit, she's dope. Is it a girl? Yeah, she's fire.
It's a girl.
Damn. Wow, that's a calf too. That is nuts, bro.
And then I have a phantom group that I breed that does nothing but tigers, phantom tigers. That's what's coming out all day. I have a bunch of red phantom tigers that I've been holding back to go in that direction.
So I see you've been messing around with this empty back, right? Or super stripe. I don't know the difference between the either. I still can't figure it out. It's been explained to me 100 times, and I'm still like, I don't even fucking know. Empty back, super stripe, super empty back, super stripe. To me, they're animals with an empty back to a different degree, right? Like it's, and I'm not downplaying what anyone is, I'm admitting I am the one that's wrong, I just can't tell the difference. But you've been doing some crazy shit with them, man.
I'm not an expert neither. I'm working with them. I'm just open-minded, bro. Like, I listen to all the explanations. There's a lot of people that talk about it, and I'm just, what makes sense to me makes sense, and what doesn't make sense, I'm proving out. LM Reptile says it the best. When in doubt, prove it out, bro. Like, thank you for the information and the helpful tips and tricks. And now I will go on my journey and prove it out and see what happens. I think that's the interesting aspect of breeding. Like, trying these things out without knowing the answer to help find your own answers.
Yes, we get to play and I'm not speaking blasphemy, but we get to play God, we get to play scientists, man. Like the power is in our hands to get the proof. Like we can literally get the proof, the facts, if we just spend the time. We almost don't have to ask questions. The proof is going to tell us. The pairings are going to give us the answers.
And the foundation, the water, so to speak, is there. And we are brought to this water. Now, do your own, take your own journey. Drink that water and learn. Take the time. I think that sometimes we're more focused on other aspects than wanting to spend that time and gaining that knowledge. It's always the easy way out. I don't want the easy way out, man. I want to learn.
One of those things where you do, right? Like you want to take, like we were saying earlier, to just go and buy the nice animals, that's a way to do it, right? Like that's one way to do it. But you could also go the other route and buy the not so nice stuff and figure it out for yourself. Buy a big enough, diverse enough group of animals, like your basic genes, and figure it out, man. It was done in a bigger scale, narrow down that bigger scale. And that's how the hobby got started. They went out into the wild, they caught, say, 200 animals of whatever they got, shitty genes, small animals, poor color, and they turned it into what we see today, right? In a period of 25 years, they've turned it into what we see today from some crappy animals. So why can't you do it? Why can't we do it? Why can't we get some animals, and even the crappiest animals in the pet hobby, right, in the gecko world, are arguably already better off than the ones that came in from the wild, right? Like, so why can't we sit around and put these damn things together and make some better animals and learn along the way? The knowledge we're going to get from pairing animals and seeing interactions between certain genes and traits and, structural differences and whatnot. I mean, we'll learn. If you're observant enough and you do it for long enough, you will be brilliant when you're done, right? Like
that's an important part, especially for not a lot of new people. Be open-minded and don't just settle for the answer that's given to you. Don't look for the easy way out. Put the work in. Enjoy the hobby. And I feel like it's a lot more spoken about the business aspect of it than the hobby aspect. It's a business based on the hobby, so don't lose the love of the hobby. And there's fine line between a lot of things, but don't bro, just because it doesn't have a huge head or it's not 70 grams doesn't mean it's not a good gecko.
For sure. You hear the best of you guys say it too. Like, that's cool to hear you say it because, David will say it. I've even heard Brian from Altitude say it. Like, you can very easily over a generation or two, you can get an animal that may have a unique gene with poor head structure. You can put a good head on them very shortly. If there's a unique gene there or something, a trait, it's worth playing with that animal, man. It's worth breeding that animal. You can't just X him off because he's not the whole package, right? It's your job to try to create that whole package. Take that ingredient, right? That's how I look at them, like as ingredients. Take this little bit of, this salt over here and mix it with that basil over there, and you're gonna have a tomato or two, and you might wind up with some sauce.
It's very important. That's why I try to always be on the unbiased type of outlook, because it's like, bro, you have to be careful what you say, and you have to remember when you guys first started. You didn't know everything, and the stuff that you're saying now can lead people down different directions and make it even worse for them. You're messing with their whole outlook on the hobby. Don't buy this, don't do this. This is what a great animal looks like. This is what, and it's like people are scared, bro. I don't want to show my gecko that I love because they're gonna clown me. Where you speak to some of these pioneers in the and they're telling you, oh, bro, I don't like a big head. That's not what a gecko looks like. And so I think it's very important to explain and have an outlook that there's different camps with different views on things.
For sure.
Just because you don't fit in one camp doesn't mean you're not going to find another camp. And it shouldn't be a all-out war against each other. There's people that believe in wholesaling animals, and there's a lot that can come from that positive. For certain, as crested geckos is a great entry point in learning how to breed, learning genetics and things like that, where it can open up the gates to higher skilled animals. And when you get to these higher skilled animals, some people will tell you, listen, you need wild blood to be brought in to mix into your projects, because not too many people are working with it. So it's just an understanding and honesty and respect with everybody to continue. Like those Philosuma lineatus, I breed them. I'm in love with them.
Thank God, they need it.
You find them wholesale here and there, but I'm breeding them. Are they the most expensive animal to breed? No, but I think it's cool, man, to help.
Hell yeah, absolutely. Crested geckos, like you were saying, are super cool, and I think it's one of the greatest entry levels to reptile keeping in general, just on the strength that you could do so much. They cater to every style, right? And again, even though there is the gold standard gecko club and some people have their idea of what the perfect animal is, there's enough room genetically for you to make your perfect animal. If you don't like the big floppy head, you can make them without big giant floppy heads. If you like black ones, you can make black ones. If you like red ones, you can make red ones. If you like white ones, you can make white ones. Yellow, go ahead. There's so much for all of us. Like you could literally, the three animals really, your leopard geckos, your crested geckos, your ball pythons. Those animals are what they are because they cater to so many different palates, right? Like they're good for the hobby. They're very, very good. And again, it's kind of like a double-edged sword, like you were saying, is it's hard for any one of us to say what the perfect animal is because you can't just simply tell every keeper what their preference is, right?
You can go with the preference of what's popular and what's selling out quick. Yeah, you can
trends.
Go with, but
you change like our underwear.
Yeah, you're being a follower. I tend to like to lead and be a trendsetter is what I've always been taught,
Hell yeah, man. Pave your own path.
Pave your
own
path.
This is a cool animal. Cool collection, man. Very unique, man.
Yeah, I'm striving.
What if you say this pair right here? What are you getting out of this pair? What are they producing for you?
This is the first year that I paired those together, but that's to get super empty back, excuse me.
So what's the difference between, and I've asked this question, and again, like I was saying, I still don't understand the answer. Maybe I'll get it from you. What the hell is the difference between an empty back and a super stripe?
Empty back, so again, I'm not the top dog, but I'm going to give you my insight. For me, it's very simple. I think the phrases are what makes it so complicated when I speak to people about it. Empty back, they have it as a super empty back, and then you have het empty back. So the girl up top is, you see how she has the pattern inside, and then the guy on the bottom has no pattern. Both of them are empty backs or super empty backs. Het empty back would have more pattern crossing in between the dorsal, but I think that's what confuses people, because you can see the male has a complete dorsal wipeout that matches the laterals, and then the female up top has more pattern showing in the dorsal.
No.
They're both empty back.
That's what I'm saying. It's just a different expression, a different strength of expression.
And I think from my understanding and my learnings, that comes with a lot of these genetics. You have a Phantom, you have a Dalmatian, you have a Pinstripe, and you have levels of expression.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that that's something that has to be explained a little bit more, because people don't get that. You know, they think, oh, empty back, it has to be completely empty. No, the top one is an empty back also. It's just a lower expression of the super empty back that you see there, but they're both empty backs.
I see, because some people have it make you think like it's a different gene,
The super stripe, what they say, and I know it's confusing, a super stripe is an empty back, but an empty back is not a super stripe. And the reason why they say that is a super stripe has the emptiness down the middle.
Yeah.
It has the empty back, except it has super stripes. So those stripes on the male at the bottom.
So he's a super stripe.
A super stripe is an empty back, but an empty back is not a super stripe. He's a regular pinstripe.
I get what you're saying.
You see what I'm saying? So he's a regular pinstripe, empty back, but a super pinstripe means the pinstripes would be wider. The color, that yellow color would be wider, and the amount of emptiness would just be more of a line going straight down the back.
I saw some other ones you have. I think that a lot of people need to fucking keep working on it, to be completely honest with you. And I think people are doing a great job at it, but like I said, I know nothing. So these are both empty backs.
Yeah. But you see the male would start the one would start to be more looking, though. You see how the pinstripes are looking thicker than the other one? Yeah.
So those two together should make super empty backs or super stripes.
Well, we're gonna see from what I understand, you get some super stripes from those pairings.
So I got a couple pairs myself that I unintentionally breed, and I get a mix of all of them, and I don't know. All I know is that this pair makes different levels of all of them, and that's where I get like the expression thing. I'm like, it's got to be a different expression and not a different gene, because I got pairs, one or two pairs that make all of them. They make them with the V at the top of the neck with a little bit of pattern in the back. I got some that have no pattern from the head all the way down to the tail with a line that goes down the middle of the tail, Mark. Like legit, I make them with a black line down the middle of the tail, but they're all coming from the same damn pair. But that's what's so confusing, I guess, to me, is it can't possibly be a different gene.
Yeah, that line going down the tail, that to me seems to happen on the super stripes. The empty backs seem to have the two lines.
The dashes, I get those too. Yup, the double dashes, equal signs.
Hey, you know, we just
joking. That's a dope animal, and that's a cap too. Did you make that? That's from Treehouse. You made that for real? You ain't selling that, are you?
A few of them growing. I just wanted to inspect them and make sure what I'm seeing is what's going on.
Smart. When do you normally sell your animals? Like, how long do you have a set size, or do you go by age? When will you list an animal as available?
So in the beginning, I was not listing. That's from the same pairing, that one. In the beginning, I was not selling animals unless I'm not working with them no more. And then I was growing everything out, holding everything back. Now, that's the Exantic
Cool
that's the
picture.
hypo.
I love that picture. Reminds like a dog, like a big old pit bull, like a pit laying on the couch or something. That's an awesome picture.
Now I'm learning more, and I'm able to see them better and kind of guess what they're going to be when they get older. So now that's a super stripe.
Yeah, I'm going to say, what the hell is that?
Yeah.
So that's a super stripe, a big old thick line like that. Yeah. That's a line too. That's exactly what I'm talking about, down the tail.
Exactly.
No shit.
I learned that from LM also, listening to him, you know, looking at the tail markers. I find that super interesting. You know, they don't talk about that too much, but looking at the tail markers and realizing those little things is...
I noticed some, but every time I try to explain it to some people, I guess I just sound stupid. Like I can't articulate what I'm trying to say to people. And be like, Like they don't know what I'm talking about. I'm like, yo, I've been talking about those dashes on the tail for years, bro. I'm like, I'm telling you, these animals are coming out and they all have these double dashes on their tail. I just recently started hearing people talk about them. I'm like, I ain't looking for no credit or anything. I'm just saying, like, if we were all listening to each other, you would have been heard me when I'm telling you.
That's what would help everything out. Also,
How was that?
It's a misfire event.
Dude, incredible animals. All right, bro, we're coming up like well over 2 hours, man. This is gonna get damn shit.
Super strike.
Is that the same one that I was just looking at before? No.
That's a different one from the same parent.
That's fucking cool. That's only a week ago. You just hatched that, huh?
Yeah, you can see it down the tail, the one line in the middle of the tail. You see it.
Where you're going. I know exactly what you're gonna make. That's cool. There's a couple people out there that have been around for a while. What the hell is the name of that company? There's a company out there that makes them, and that black stripe down the middle of the back, I mean, they're jet black, man, and that black line runs solid to the middle of the tail. Damn, what the hell's the name of that company, man?
I know Greek's Geckos does some crazy.
Maybe it is Greeks.
Yeah. Watch.
Look at this joker. Where's this one from?
From Rockstar Geckos. I just got eggs from her.
White spot gene, people say? Is that the white spot gene that's causing all that?
That's from Harlequins and Phantoms.
Really?
It's staying with the white spots.
Really?
But now that one is not white. It's like highlight or yellow, the white spots. And that's a whole nother topic to get into. We don't know what's happening with it. Some say this, some say that. But it interests me because I'm not so much after the white spots. I'm interested in the highlight or yellow and how that's working. I paired her to a black gecko with smaller spots, but highlighter yellow. But he has the yellow on the jawline. Crazy.
Shit.
Yeah.
All right. I don't want to keep you all night, Mark. I feel terrible, man. But dude, I could literally talk to you for hours, bro. Like no bullshit.
Yeah.
What is this? Is this a Hinkle-eye? What is it?
That's a Fembriatus.
No shit, man. 3 days ago? What have you been doing, man? I've been busy at work, apparently. Shit.
Yeah. That's a pair that I got that I wanted to work with. I've worked with Fantasticus, Ebanawi, and these now. It's a dream species.
Yeah, I got the Sycorays, the Spear Points. I got a few myself, but okay, brother. I see. Yeah. I see you. I can't believe I missed this, man. You're like usually one of the people I watch every fucking day. I've been smashed at work, zonked at work, bro. Like
I get you. I'm the same way, man. Like I'll have spurts.
They look like this though. I've never really. Honest, huh?
Gorgeous.
I hear. Because again, like I said, I keep the Sycoray. I hear they're very similar, but better. I hear they deal with drier climates better. I hear they can handle higher temperatures. I heard a lot of good. I talked to quite a few people that really suggest these guys over the Sycoray.
Really?
Yeah, nice. Swear to God, yeah.
Nice. I'm kind of happy about that because I've been nervous. For me, it's a dream species to have, right? They're right here. I sit here in the nighttime and I just sit here like, wow, bro. The way they move around in the enclosure, it's crazy.
Beautiful.
And then I have the Ebanawi right here next to him. And it's like best of both worlds right next to each other.
Ebenawi's, man. I don't even know how to explain it, man. I have one right now, a male. I'm about to get a female. From Nelson, from NCG Reptiles. Great human being, man. He gifted it to me during Christmas time. He gave me an Ebanawi because I talked about him. I was like, it's like an animal I would love to have. I just, I got a lot going on. And I really, don't got the $400 to cough up. And it's like, he's like, well, you got 60? You got money for shipping? I'm like, what are we talking? What's going on? So I'll give you one. He was like, I make them. Like, why should you not have one? If you want one, it makes you that happy, I give you one. I'm like, dude, you don't got to do that, man. Let me give you something in return. Let me trade you something. He's like, I really don't have room for anything else. I appreciate it, but I don't have room for anything else. He's one of them people that's like, and I'm not saying anything about myself, but like, you're an observant person. You're willing to contribute to the hobby. Let me help you. Here, take this. And that's
that way.
I would do the same. I owe it to someone. I owe it to someone. When I find someone that's working with something and I have something or they want something that I have, and they may not have the funds, my right hand to God, bro, I'm sending it to you. I'm not going to let money stop you doing something great if I have the ability to help you, right? Like, not a chance in hell. Well, absolutely. That's one of the things I get out of this hobby, other than, so much more for me than money, is if I can help someone's dream come true, it's almost unreal, right? Like, it's almost unreal. Like, you're like, really? Like, I'm going to let money interfere with that? Absolutely not.
At the end of the day, we have to stand together. We're all in the same hobby. One hand washes the other, both wash the face, man. If I try to preach a positive note every morning when I wake up to start the day.
I read them all the time. I love it, brother.
And if everybody would just say, hey, today I'm going to do one positive thing for somebody in the hobby, imagine where we can get to.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's half, why I wanted to breed leeches, and I got a bunch of eggs now, thank God. But I've seen how much money, well, not the only reason, because I think they're super cool species, but people were like, oh, I can't afford them. I can't afford one. I would love to have them, but there's so much money. I was like, damn, like, well, I could breed them, right? Like, I could breed them and just give them to my people, man. Like, literally, like, it was a huge reason on why I got him and wanted to breed him. I'm like, yo, if you can't do it, I had some things happen to where I can, right? Like, I was able to buy some really cool, expensive animals, and I had a buddy who sold them to me, gave me a good deal, right? Like, I got a discount from, buying a bunch of them, and I bought a bunch of cool GTs and whatnot. Like, I got a list of people, and they don't know who they are, but there's a list of people that I will be sending these babies to, man. Like, and that's cool. My right hand of God, brother. My right hand of God. We'll be sending these animals to some people that still don't have them, that still talk about how they would love to. And, I see how good they treat their animals. And they're not breeders. They're just people that keep reptiles. And, people get it twisted. When you look at the reptile hobby as a whole, breeders are a fraction, right? The majority of the reptile hobby is like people like me and you were before we went down this breeding road. We're people that just had rooms of 100 different species of animals. They used to just love looking at our animals, watching them eat and reading about them and doing the research, man. They didn't care about breeding. I didn't even want 2 of them because that means I got to have 2 tanks or 2 something. I'd rather have another different species in another tank doing something else, we're a small percentage of this hobby. There's a lot of people out there to keep reptiles just to keep them, that just want something cool.
Yeah, that's it. That's what it is for me.
I see. I'm going to keep on going, brother. All right, let me just get the hell out of here. Mark, I appreciate you coming out here so much, brother. Since I went down this road, and even the other podcasts, man, I was like, I got to get Mark on the show, man. He's a cool cat, down to earth, so pro community, pro hobby, man, pro people. You are one of the people that I like to encourage and to promote and expose, if you will. Like, I want you deserve the limelight. You are someone that's for the community. You don't claim to know it all, but you put yourself out there as someone that is willing to help learn with the masses, right? You don't put yourself in this little circle of cool people. You are for the people. You will listen to anyone. You believe that anyone has a say. Everyone has a right to their opinion, different observations. You're very pro people. And that alone is worthy of being noted, man. You deserve, not that you don't get the attention, but you deserve so much more attention just for your willingness to just be part of the group, right? You're not trying to be up here. You're just trying to be part of the people that come up with the plan, man. And I've got so much respect for you and for people like that. I can't tell you how much I appreciate you, man, for coming on here and just shooting the shit with me, man. I really hope people get to see who you are, the good person that you are, some of the animals that you're working with. For anybody else, go check his pages out, check his Palm Streets out, everything that the Gecko Room is doing, man. Marc is a genuine person, man. What you see right here tonight is the person you get all the time, man. No two-faced, no fraudulent shit. Marc has been, like I feel like we've been friends since the first time we don't ever just commented on the same post somewhere, man. Marc has always been the same dude. Nothing but respect for you for it, brother, man. I can't tell you how important it is to me that you're not two-faced, man. It's great to know there's real people out there that keep it 100 all the time, quite frankly, man. And, you're a super positive person. Again, always posting the day, the week, setting the day off at 6 a.m., man, with positive posts. Maybe the first thing to pop up on your feed, man, something positive, man. And Dude, I hope you know how valuable you are as a person in this community, man. I can't thank you
Appreciate it.
enough, brother. Is there anything
I
you want to
appreciate
promote? Anything you got coming up? How people can find you? Websites, Morph Market? Read us the riot act.
just everything is the Gecko Room. I really just do IG and Palm Street at the moment. I'm trying to get into Morph Market. I do have a Morph Market, but with time, with work and everything, IG is probably the fastest. Palm Street's at least once a month. I did twice this month. Tomorrow, well, by the time this goes on, tomorrow I'm on Palm Street again. But Palm Street and IG, man, and just remember, positivity attracts positivity.
Yes. All
So,
right, guys. Thanks for coming by, checking out the New Cow Corner. Always going to bring you guys cool guests, man. Real people. People doing the real work, making the real observations, and keeping it real. Stay tuned. Definitely going to catch you in the next episode. Peace.